Hi, I'm the owner of this great factory. As you can see, I have many children working for me, day and night. We like them kids. They're easier to manage. Us employers don't have to pay them as much, and they're less likely to riot or form unions against us. Also, the kids are small. They're so little they can get into small spaces in mines or reach tight areas in factory machinery. Because the machines don't need the strength of an adult, we mostly have kids working. Did you know that kids are scared of us? Because of their fear, they work harder. In 1810, 2 million children were working 50 through 70 hours a week. I'm thinking that number should have been way bigger, and the hours too. We like to keep the children we have in line in order for them to deserve their pay. I'd say we're fairly generous to them. We only make them work between 12 to 18 hours per day. That gives them 6 hours to sleep. What more do they need?
Hello, how are ya? My name is Furman Owens. The year is 1909 and I'm 12. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I can't read and I don't know how to say my ABCs. How does it go? A, B, C? I want to learn, I really do, but I can't when I'm working all the time. I live in South Carolina and I've been in the mills for 4 straight years. You see, recently the rise of industrial America happened and all these children were being forced to work. The reason this happened was because all them immigrants were moving into the cities for jobs. Like I said, I work in the mills, but kids nowadays have all kinds of jobs. One of my friends works in a nearby mine, another one is a newsboy. Then you have the factory workers, the agricultural kids, and the messengers and peddlers. Home industries, canneries, and textiles are small.
My dear sweet child works all day for me in the textiles, 'cause he's a small boy. I couldn't get by without him. He brings money to our needy family of 12, and it gets him out of school, too. You see, I can't afford to send him to school anyways. There's not enough free education these days, and I don't want him wasting time learning when he could be working for a cause. Like most kids aged 7 to 12, he brings in $16 for us each year.
My name is Lisa, and I'm 8 years old. I've been working in a factory for as long as I can recall, and I hate it. It ain't fair. They don't treat us kids right.
And I go by Laura. She's my little sister, now 9 years of age. The conditions are pretty much the same for me. I hate the factories, too. We work 10 to 18 hours per day, earning only $1 per 6 days.
And to add to that, we have to give that money to our folks. The factories are always too hot or too cold, and in some of them, we aren't allowed to wear shoes. We get all dirty. It's nasty.
Some days, Lisa and me have to work from 3:30 in the morning till 5 at night. We get barely any breaks and close to no sleep, making us sick, weak, and tired.
I got a splinter the other day, and after, I heard my mama speaking about some toxic air in them factories. She said they led to diseases or something about some immune system. Ridiculous.
I'm Arthur Albacker, 13 years. A few days ago, I had both my legs badly burned in a working accident. Those are pretty common, you know. I fell in a coal chute while I was working in the George S. Lee mines. I'll get better eventually, and they make me go back in 2 days' time. Sadly, my older friend Dennis McKee wasn't as lucky. He fell in with me and lost his life down there in the horrible coal chute. I miss my pal, but I'm not the only one who lost someone. Every year, over 23,000 children die on their work sites. Mines are dangerous because kids could fall in like in my situation. Factories are pretty dangerous too. The machines can catch on clothes or limbs, easily pulling a kid into them. Also, my brother fainted once from being overworked.
Mama and I agree that working in the fields these days ain't no fun. We're working our day through winter and summer. Sometimes it get real hot, sometimes it get real cold. They barely give us kids any breaks, and we're expected to work hard in the rain and snow.
My son is right. I disapprove of his agricultural labor. He's required to use big, dangerous tools that could injure his fragile frame. Do you understand how scary it is for a parent like me? I'm worrying about him day and night. He's working outside where tons of animals could attack him at any moment, and even the plants could do him harm. The poor thing is allergic to bees. What am I supposed to do if he gets stung? Thing is, the employers don't even realize what they're putting the kids through. All they think is, oh, we're getting our work done and it costs us almost nothing. Darn, those lazy farmers.
The other day, my friend Justine got stung by a thing I've heard of, a stinging nettle. She was in the middle of picking berries and she didn't even get to go home or stop working. She had to keep going for the rest of the day. She was in the process of picking her 4th basket, and she had to do 3 more before leaving.
Howdy, what you up to? I'm a farm owner down here in southern Wyoming. My land produces hay, barley, wheat, and corn. My farmland also raises sheep for wool. We have a lot of those little lambs too. I have all my crops being harvested by children. Some of the ones who live close to my area were sent to me by their parents who need a little wherewithal for their personal expenses. like grub and stuff. Some of my girls' work boosts their family income by $22 a year or so, while the boys give even more to their parents, helping their family out with an extra $58. It's nice to meet you. Thank you for coming. Shall we begin? For our newspaper, I'll be interviewing you about your position in the National Child Labor Committee and what you believe due to it. My first question is, as a member of the NCLC, what is your main goal?
As you probably know, we are going through all of this hard work because we know children have their own rights. My personal focus is simply to stop the employers from working children too hard. All of us believe that kids honestly shouldn't be laboring at all. Our organization was formed in 1904, and we've been working for the cause ever since. I'm not sure if you know this, but many similar previous attempts to end child labor have failed miserably. This includes the Keating-Owen Act of 1916. It tried to stop shipment of products that were made by anyone under 14. The act was struck down in the Hammer versus Dagenhart ruling, and the NCLC is worried this will happen to us as well. But we will fight for what we believe until we are literally stopped in our tracks.
Yes, I heard about that. Well, in my opinion, the NCLC knows what they're doing. I also heard about the prominent amendment which taxed companies that involve child labor. Although I heard that was declined, am I right?
Yes, that was unfortunately knocked down too. Luckily, several laws have been passed that oppose child labor. Many parents and children believe the treatment in factories and agriculture is unfair and should be illegal, just like we think. Some decide to do something about it, some don't. Others just go along with what's occurring because they've been taught that working youth is an effective way of earning money.
I completely agree. Children of all ages deserve to relax and enjoy their childhood. Enough said. So what laws have already been effective in the rebellion against child labor?
There's actually been many. Although we don't really think they've been good enough, because as you can tell, child labor is still a major issue. One law was in 1837, and it began in Massachusetts and later spread. It didn't allow manufacturing businesses to hire anyone who was younger than 15 that hadn't gone to school for at least 3 months in the last year. Later on in 1837, the Working Men's Party proposed that the government should set the minimum age of working to 14.
And is there any other laws that have been passed after those two were?
Of course! Being very reluctant to give up the crusade, 28 states had passed their own laws by the year 1899. Sure, it's valid that most people didn't follow those laws, but they still existed and it was a start. Going further into that topic, by 1910, 17 more states had also created personal laws, making the number go up to 45. The most recent advancement was in 1936, when the government stated that they will not purchase any products that were made by children that were too little to work.
Oh, I see. It seems as if the battle for rights has been moving along well, but nothing revolutionary has happened yet. When do you think your organization's attempt will take effect? It is now 1938, and where do you see your group in, say, 5 years?
Well, I don't know what position we will be in, but I hope that the children will get to
Excuse me, I sincerely apologize for having to interrupt this. However, I have urgent news. Parliament has finally passed the laws.
Really? This is amazing!
How soon will it take place? How did this happen?
It is unsure of the exact time, but it should be soon. Maybe in a few years child labor will be gone forever. It was the Fair Labor Standards Act, but it goes along with our beliefs too. The government has set a minimum wage, both time and equal pay, a maximum number of hours, and standards for all child labor.
And this will actually happen this time? They're going to be serious about this?
Which laws were passed? I've heard some of the recommendations, so what has definitely gone through?
Well, it is official that people working must be no younger than 14. However, children younger than 14 are still allowed to be hired for jobs that are not involved with the government. For example, they can still take care of younger children or work on family-owned land. The new minimum salary is $7.25 per hour. But that has an exception. On the first 90 days a child is working a new occupation, one may receive $4.25 instead.
Oh wow! Did they regulate the hours too?
Yes, many laws that involve those limits were passed. Now children can only work up to 15 hours a day during the time when they aren't attending school. During a week when students don't have school, they're allowed to work a maximum of 8 hours each day and 40 hours that week. Although all of these laws were created, there is no hour restriction for the time children can work over the age of 16.
So you both are part of a triumphant organization now? I'm sure this will be a big milestone in the battle for rights. My last question for you is, what were your strategies that would end the paradox before this was passed?
As a group, we decided that ending child labor would be simple, with 4 solutions. The first one would be organizing communities and unions, and the next one would have been making schools give free education to students so that they could attend school instead.
Also, we are campaigning to change society's mind on the topic, and our final and most relevant idea to the FLSA was to change minors' minimum standards.
Thank you both for your time and congratulations.